Hello everyone. So let's begin with exercise 1.3.2. So the question reads, let SNT be two statements. Question number A, suppose SNT is false. So we are given that SNT, this statement is false, and that S is true. Then what can we say about the statement T? Can T be true? So you assume that T is true. Then what will happen? If T is true, then we are also given that S is true. That will mean SNT is true. This is a contradiction to the statement that SNT is false, right? So this tells us that T cannot be true and therefore T is forced to be false statement. So in this case, T has to be false under the given hypothesis, right? Let's look at statement B. S or T is true is given to us. So S or T is true and S is false. The statement S is false. Then what can you say about T? Can T be false? So what will happen if T is false? So if you assume that the statement T is false, then we already know that S is also false. So since both the statements are false, that will mean S or T, this statement is also false. Because for S or T to be true, at least one of the statements S and T have to be true. But both of them are false, so S or T is false. This is a contradiction because we are given that S or T is true, right? So our assumption that T is false, and therefore we are forced to conclude that the statement T has to be a true statement under the given hypothesis. Now looking at question number 3, S or T is false. So we are given that the statement, suppose S or T is false, then what can you say about the statements S and T? Even if one of them happens to be true, then S or T will have to be true. But S or T is given to be false, so that will mean that both have to be false, right? So if you assume that S is true, then you can conclude that S or T is true. That's a contradiction. So what does this conclude? S has to be false. Can T be true? Similar reasoning will tell you if T is true, then again S or T will have to be true because one of them is already true. But we are given that S or T is false. So this is again a contradiction, and therefore we can conclude that T is false. So if S or T is false, then both S and T will have to be false. Right? I hope that is clear. Moving on to the next exercise. Exercise 1.3.3. Let A and B be any two real numbers. Assume that A is less than or equal to B. This statement is a true statement. That is, A is either equal to B or A is strictly less than B. This is true, right? So A less than or equal to B. This statement is a true statement. And we are given that A is not equal to B. Right? Now, if you expand this, A less than or equal to B is true, what does that mean? This simply means either A is equal to B, one of them has to be true, or A is less than B. This is true. So if this is true, then at least one of them will have to be true for it to be true, right? But A is not equal to B. So A equal to B is a false statement. That's what is given. Correct? So what we can conclude about A and B is, so since A is not equal to B, A will have to be strictly less than B. Because if A is not strictly less than B, then A less than or equal to B statement would be false. Right? So we can conclude that A is strictly less than B. Next is exercise 1.3.5. Let A and B be subsets of a set X and X be a point in X. Write down when X does not belong to A union B is true. A union B meaning that means X is not there in both of them. Because if X was there in at least one of them, then X would have come in their union. So suppose X belongs to A. Can X come inside A? Then that will mean X belongs to A union B, which is not possible. So that's a contradiction because X is not there in A union B. So what can we conclude? X is not there in A. Suppose X is there in B. Can X come inside B? Then again, because X is there in B, it will come in A union B. Again, that's a contradiction because X is not there in A union B. So X cannot come in B. So if X is not there in A union B, that will mean X is not there in A and it is not there in B. It is not there in any of them. Clear? Now moving on to the next exercise 1.3.6. We have to write down the negations of the given statements. So as you already know, if you have a statement P and Q, then its negation would be not P or not. And if you have a statement P or Q, its negation would be not P and not. This I've already discussed in the previous video. So that's the negation of these two statements. So keeping this in mind, let's work this out. Jack and Jill went up the hill. So Jack went up the hill and Jill went up the hill. So it's a combination of two statements. So if I want to negate it, then at least one of them should not go to the hill. So how will I write that? Jack did not go up the hill or Jill did not go up the hill. Now this statement was of type this one, type 2, P and Q. So its negation will be either not P or not Q. So either Jack did not go up the hill or Jill did not go up the hill. Second one, the boy is intelligent and handsome. So again, it is of the same type. The boy is intelligent and the boy is handsome. So its negation will be what? The boy is not intelligent. At least one of the properties should fail. Or the boy is not handsome. Right? So at least one of them should fail. So that's the negation. Moving on to the third one. Neither my father nor I have studied history. That means both of us, me and my father, have not studied history. So I have not studied history and my father has not studied history. right? So again, it is of the same type. So how will I negate it? Either my father has studied history, either my father has studied history, or I have studied history. At least one of us have studied history to conclude that the given statement is false. So this is the negation of the third question, C. Next one. The book belongs to either John or Tom. So we are given a statement of the type P or Q now. So its negation will be not P and not Q. So the two statements here are the book belongs to John or the book belongs to Tom. So I have to negate both and put and in between. The book does not belong to John and the book does not belong to Tom. Right? So this will be the negation of the fourth one. Moving to the last one. Either India or South Africa will make to the final. So at least one of them will make to the final. For it to be false, both of them should not go to the final. So India will not make to the final and South Africa will not make to the final. So this is how you negate compound statements. Okay, I hope the things are clear.